here's Brody Brazil.
In this video, we'll get into all the important details of those brand new Fanatics-made NHL jerseys that are going to be worn this season and were just released, moments ago as you're watching this video come out. Now, what I can tell you right away is that things from the Adidas to Fanatics era are largely the same. It's mostly similarities, which I think people are going to like, just a few slight differences, and in those cases, they're mostly improvements. But I also realize what you might be thinking right now. How could I already know all this information about these jerseys, which nobody has seen yet, and were just released? What if I told you that Fanatics flew out to California just to show these off to somebody like me and a YouTube channel like this so I can share them with you to get the understanding of what these are all about? Quite honestly, if I thought they were bad, I would not be making this video, but I thought they were similar to Adidas. I think there's some great improvements. I like what they're doing, and I really appreciate Fanatics giving me some advanced information. They also gave me the opportunity to ask any questions I wanted, to clarify things, to explain things, and those are the details that we'll get into here in this video, to try and sort things out to help you better understand some of the small changes they've made and how they're going to go about selling and making these jerseys, and probably doing it just a little bit better. Here's my summary of what's going on. Number one, you need to understand that the company Fanatics, they've been around for quite some time, but they've never had their logo on NHL game jerseys before. This is a big deal to them. This is a first impression that they're not going to get a second chance to make. They obviously want to do this right. That's my last point here. They have to nail this on the first try. We also understand that Fanatics recently went through a lot of turmoil with the Nike and MLB situation, those baseball jerseys with the mismatching road grays and see-through jerseys and jerseys that were too sweaty or showed too much sweat, the small names on the back. Fanatics was involved in the manufacturing of that, but really it was between Nike and Major League Baseball. So inherently there was some questions about what will these hockey jerseys look like. You don't want to get these wrong. And in large part, after what I saw and what I'll share here, and I'll tell you more about that in a second, I think they're doing the exact same thing that Adidas was. So if you liked Adidas, and most people did, I think you're really going to like what Fanatics is about to do here. Also, Fanatics, known for their long-time production of what I'll call affordable consumer merchandise. I mean, they have yet to really get into making a hockey jersey that might sell for $300, $400. So you don't really necessarily know them as a pro stock, like authentic type brand, but that's now what they're about to be. And like I said before, they do not want to cut any corners here. They realize they absolutely have to get this right. And as I got to touch these and hold them and kind of peruse them, it really looks just like all the other Adidas versions I have, the pro stock jerseys. Now, these are the ones I saw. There's actually 4 tiers of jerseys, which we're about to get into literally in just a second here. But I want you to understand that what you're seeing here in the Fanatics logo on the back, I mean, that literally is the only change here that will be noticeable. I take it back. The dimples on the shoulder caps, which we'll get into in just a second, those are pretty much the 2 primary things that you might even notice from last year to this year, at least with the Sharks version of jerseys. Again, these are the only ones I saw. They specifically brought the Sharks version out for me. But as I can tell you here, there's no big differences that would detract from what Adidas was already doing. And one more thing about Fanatics, this is a 10-year deal. This is a long-term arrangement and commitment they have with the NHL. This was announced back in March of 2024. It's a 10-year deal starting in the 24-25 season, and it's what they're calling the next stage of a previous 2-decade partnership. Like I said, Fanatics had been more in the consumer realm for so many years, making hats and t-shirts and hoodies, and to some degree of affordability, so there was some question about the type of products they were making over the years. But like I said, understand, this is a totally different scenario here because these are hockey sweaters. This is something that sports fans and hockey fans hold near and dear to their heart. They're curious about how these sweaters are going to look because it's such an integral part of the game. Again, you can't get this wrong for so many reasons, for the players and for businesses and for publicity, but for the hockey fans who just want to keep getting great quality hockey sweaters. So on that note, let me first explain the 4 tiers of jerseys, and this does change a little bit for Fanatics. What you're seeing here, by the way, is the Authentic Pro jersey. I should have spelled that out. That's the version and model of jersey they brought out to me. This is the one that's made in Canada. It's got the fight strap. This is the official on-ice sweater that's about to be worn starting next season. I'm also going to tell you how that little NHL crest has changed ever so slightly from the Adidas version. But this is what you've been seeing in all the photos so far, is the Authentic Pro version of the jersey. Now, this is in Fanatics words. I asked them about the different 4 versions, and this is what they spelled out to me in response. The official on-ice jerseys worn by the players made in Canada. These are the Authentic Pros. This is the first time the official made in Canada on-ice player jerseys will be available to fans at retail in 10 years. So as much as I'll tell you about the quality and how the players are going to like them and the small additions they've made, you couldn't even buy an on-ice NHL hockey jersey in the last 10 years. It just wasn't part of the plan between Reebok and then between Adidas. And so now Fanatics is opening up that possibility, which I really like, because to be honest with you, if I'm a big-time hockey fan and I've saved the right way and I really want to spend the right way, this is probably the jersey and the version of it that I want to buy. If I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, and this is just my kind of thing, I'm glad that the Authentic Pros are made the way they are and they'll actually be for sale. That's a big piece of information right there. Then there's one grade below that, the premium grade, which is equivalent to the highest level of retail jersey that exists now. It's one of those jerseys that when you see it, you hold it, it's going to feel nice. It's going to come at a lower price point, which a lot of fans are certainly going to appreciate. That's just what they're interested in, but it's not going to be that Authentic Pro jersey. So again, something a little more obtainable and affordable for so many hockey fans. And then we get into the breakaway version of the jersey. This was first introduced in 2017 by Fanatics. This line available in both men's and women's sizing. Design was driven by fan insights, including a soft yet durable fabric that's perfect for everyday wear and flexible shields and patches that are lightweight and fold easily. For even more added comfort, they're also machine washable. Okay, all of that is what Fanatics has told me about the breakaways. You're probably already familiar with these. And these are the easiest worn hockey jerseys. They're also the most affordable hockey jerseys, again, for a lot of reasons, because if you're putting one on for the first time and that crest is very big on your chest and it kind of feels weird when you sit around in it and you're sitting in your seat at a game, it may not be for you. So they do make this version. They've already been making this version for quite some time. They're going to keep on this. They're going to keep the door open if you want to spend the minimum amount just to get a hockey jersey. The breakaway is available to you. Now, I said 4 tiers of jerseys. They're your 1, 2, 3 version of game jerseys. They're also coming out with a new practice jersey. Fanatics is going to introduce a newly designed practice jersey for fans to purchase at retail. So that's another thing that you never had access to, is watching the players on ice during practice. And usually there's several shades of the jersey version for each team, and they're usually unified, like the look and feel, and I think that's going to be the same with these Fanatics jerseys. I actually didn't get to see those sweaters in person, but what I was told about them is that they all look the same, and now you'll be able to buy these practice jerseys for the very first time, because let's be honest, they are quite popular, so popular, in fact, that fans were clamoring to get their hands on them. They never could. Now they can, thanks to Fanatics. And so you're probably also wondering, well, what changes here? Does Fanatics make these somewhere else? If they look and feel so similar, how are they doing this? Well, they're using the same factory that Adidas had been before, and the same factory that has been used for multiple decades in a suburb of Montreal. Here's what Fanatics told me. The Fanatics Authentic Pro uniform will be produced at the world's preeminent hockey jersey manufacturer, SP Apparel. The Quebec-based company has provided the NHL's on-ice uniforms for nearly 50 years. This continuity and proven track record of elite craftsmanship ensures that the Fanatics inaugural NHL jersey will continue to be the highest quality jersey that the players have been wearing and expect. And this is such good news, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't want to say if you can't beat them, join them. It seems like in this case, Fanatics has gone out of their way to buy into SP Apparel. And so you're getting the same quality jersey. And I keep circling back to this. Most people seem to enjoy what Adidas was doing. They felt like that jersey was well constructed and put together. this is what Fanatics is basically taking over. I've shown you and I've hinted at just a few small changes. Well, guess what? That's basically it. There's only one more thing I haven't talked about yet that they're adding to the jersey as an improvement over what Adidas was doing. And in fact, what timing? Here it is. It's almost like I produced this video for myself. I'm calling this elbow additions, and what I really want you to take note of here is the stitching that I'm tracing right here. I'll take it away in just a second. It's stitching, let me pick a different color here. Let me go with green. It's stitching right here, and it's an extra piece of fabric. It may not even be something that you notice from 5-10 feet away. If you rub the elbow, if you look up close, yeah, you'll notice like that stitch is generally not there. So of course, when I saw that in person, I asked some questions about that, and I said, well, what exactly is that? Who wanted that? What is that for? Here's what Fanatics told me. The additional layer of fabric added as reinforcement to the elbow region of the jersey was a result of direct feedback received from the NHL's players and equipment managers during Fanatics' design and development phase. This reinforcement enhances jersey durability against board friction. So all that wall play, all the elbows, and players said, hey, if you could do something about this, would you? And Fanatics responded. This was their response. Now, I realize this is not like adding a whole elbow pad that a player's already wearing. This is not like a second elbow pad, but they were just looking for some of that certain reinforcement to, like it says here, guard against board friction, jersey durability against board friction. So not only is the jersey probably going to hold up a little bit better, but that rash that sometimes you see on the elbows of the jersey shouldn't be a problem in terms of this new version from Fanatics. The addition of this fabric is a prime example of how Fanatics thinks about its jersey design process, not making changes for the sake of change, but only when it's seen as an improvement to the product worn on the ice and is in full collaboration with the players and team personnel. Now, I digress here. If you are familiar with what happened in Major League Baseball this past offseason, they introduced new jerseys, things that players said, hey, we never asked for this. None of this was really run by us. All of it is a surprise, and we're not really fond of most of what you did here. So again, Fanatics has learned this lesson, thankfully, from their own involvement with the Nike situation, but more about how Nike handled this and didn't go about it the right way. And for Fanatics' first entry into the on-ice jersey game, like I said before, they want to get this right. So they've done that full collaboration with players and equipment managers. Okay, so the noticeable changes, I've already kind of touched on this just a little bit. We'll get into it one more time. Yeah, the logo, right? It's going to look different. People are going to get used to that. Fanatics on the back, as opposed to all the different logos that have been there before. CCM, Reebok, then Adidas. So the logo is going to be one thing, but there's also something else. That little dimpled pattern that you saw on the shoulder caps of Adidas jerseys. I mean, literally that fabric change might be the biggest noticeable difference. Like if you couldn't see the logo here, and you were 20 feet away, yeah, I can tell that this one is a little bit different than this one. No question about it. But that's pretty much it in terms of the visuals. And Fanatics just chose not to go in that direction with the dimpled shoulder cap. Here's what Fanatics says about some of the changes. The jersey's base construction remains similar to the current jersey standard. Aesthetically, the noticeable changes in the addition to the removal of the debossed pattern, the dimples, as I put it. On the shoulders will be a new NHL shield on the front neckline featuring a hologram finish, that's what we were talking about there, versus the previous chrome version, as well as Fanatics branding embroidered on the back neckline. Okay, so inside the jersey, like under the collar. We've already seen that too, as well as on the actual back of the jersey. Those are the noticeable changes. That really is it. In addition to these visual changes, the Fanatics Authentic Pro jersey will include that additional layer of fabric on the lower sleeve to improve uniform durability from sustained friction against the boards. They're just going to hold up a little bit better. Less about, like I said, protecting the player, more about keeping the jersey intact. And so Fanatics having control over all of this is such a big deal. Quality control to the point where everything is flawless on this jersey that you're going to pay top dollar for, this Authentic Pro jersey. And selling the practice jersey is also kind of a cool thing, selling the authentic jersey for the first time. But just to know that everything here, all the fine details, that's why I chose this close-up picture of the shark fin, just to show you that in terms of quality control here, they are in control of that. And here's what Fanatics told me. Unlike Fanatics' partnership with other leagues, for the NHL, Fanatics is the one making the final decisions for the on-ice uniforms. Again, we go back to the whole baseball situation with Nike and Major League Baseball, and it was a debacle, to say the least. And in that case, Fanatics was largely thrown into the conversation about, well, who's doing what, who decided on this, who approved this. Fanatics was only in charge of taking the specs and actually making what other people had designed. Sure, they were part of it, but it wasn't their design process. And for a lot of people who say, okay, well, this is the first version of Fanatics hockey jerseys. What might they do 3 to 5 years down the road when they're about halfway through this 10-year deal? Are they going to come up with something crazy? Are they going to go off the wall, kind of like Nike just did with Major League Baseball? And I think you're seeing here the answer is no. And as they said before, they're not interested in making changes just for the sake of change. They want the players happy, the teams happy, and most importantly, they want the fans happy in terms of what they're seeing on the ice and also what they might be interested in purchasing at the team store or the pro shop. This jersey design process is a collaborative effort between Fanatics, the NHL, and its teams throughout the design and development process. Fanatics and the NHL received direct feedback and input from critical stakeholders, including players, the National Hockey League Players Association, and team executives and locker room personnel to ensure a high-quality jersey engineered for the modern hockey player. Again, I didn't hear any complaints about, well, the jersey that, as I'm recording this, full disclosure, I don't know who's won Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final yet. The jersey, the Adidas jersey that they're still wearing, I've never heard a bad thing about it from players. So if they've only improved it slightly, expect the same. From as far as I can see, it's only equal to, if not maybe just a little bit better. I think that's the response you're going to hear about what Fanatics has come up with. While certain characteristics and attributes of the on-ice uniforms may evolve over time in style, innovation, and creativity to better suit the needs of the athletes, we will not make changes for the sake of making changes. And no adjustments will be made without the full alignment with the NHL's players and team personnel. Like I said before, they were part of that conversation about baseball, largely blamed, and maybe because of their own past and track record and reputation to some degree. But in this case, they're being very straightforward about what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and hoping that you like it. And real quick, I just want to thank Fanatics for giving me this opportunity to see all of this in advance. I've been sitting on it for quite some time, couldn't share it, couldn't talk about it. But I'm glad now is the time and the opportunity just to do that. I'm glad they trusted me to hang on to this information and to be able to share it on a platform here like my YouTube channel with you so that you can also understand this, what this is all about. And trust me, in what I saw, again, I didn't see every team's jersey. I didn't take this thing fully apart, but I gave it a full once and twice over. And as far as I can see, with everything else I've ever known about hockey jerseys and the 20 or so that I have of previous manufacturers and models like of the Sharks, this one falls right in line with that pro stock that I think players are going to want on the ice and fans might be interested in purchasing. So again, thanks Fanatics for the opportunity for letting me spread what I think is pretty good news for the hockey fan. Hey, you've made it here to the end of this video. You know I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me, this video, and this channel. And if you've never seen me before, I'm glad this video got you hooked. I'm glad you clicked on it. Thanks so much for that. Do me one more favor. Go down there right now and hit that subscribe button so I definitely get to see you back here next time.